Students, and welcome to yet another session on MI English. In today's session, we are going to cover two subunits, 3.1 Untouchable by Mulkraj Anand and 3.2 The Story of My Sanskrit by Kumud Pavre. Let us now go through the short biography of Mulkraj Anand. Mulkraj Anand, born December 12, 1905, Peshawar, India, now in Pakistan, and died September 28, 2004, Pune. And he was a prominent Indian author of novels, short stories, and critical essays in English, who is known for his realistic and sympathetic portrayal of the poor in India. He is considered a founder of the English language Indian novel. The son of a coppersmith, Anand graduated with honours in 1924 from Punjab University in Lahore and pursued additional studies at the University of Cambridge and at University College in London. While in Europe, he became politically active in India's struggle for independence and shortly thereafter wrote a series of diverse books on aspects of South Asian culture, including Persian painting, curries and other Indian dishes, the Hindu view of art, the Indian theatre, and Seven Little Known Birds of the Inner Eye. A prolific writer, Anand first gained wide recognition for his novels Untouchable (1905) and Coolie (1936), both of which examined of problems of poverty in Indian society. In 1945, he returned to Bombay, now Mumbai, to campaign for national reforms. Among his other major works are The Village, The Sword and the Sickle, and The Big Heart. Anand wrote other novels and short story collections and also edited numerous magazines and journals, including Marg and Art Quarterly that he founded in 1946. He also intermittently worked on a project, 7-volume autobiographical novel entitled Seven Ages of Man, completing 4 volumes, Seven Summers, Morning Face, Confession of a Lover, and The Bubble. As the novel begins, Bakha is reporting for another day of latrine cleaning at the behest of his father, an ill-tempered man named Lakha. While cleaning the latrine of a famous street hockey player named Charat Singh, the man invites Bakha to visit him later in the day. He promises to give Bakha a hockey stick as a gift. When Bakha comes home, his sister Shohini lives to get water for them. She travels to the communal well. However, the untouchables are not able to dip their own water. The upper caste Hindus believe that the touch of an undercaste will pollute the well, which would then have to be subjected to lengthy and expensive purification rituals. A priest named Kalinath arrives and, taken with Shohini's beauty, agrees to pour water for her. He then invites her to the temple courtyard later in the day so that he can clean it. Bakha moves through the streets sweeping. He accidentally brushes up against a Brahmin Hindu who begins to shout that he has been polluted by Bakha. The man shouts at Bakha as the mob gathers, joining in the insults. The man slaps Baka before a Muslim cart driver breaks up the fight and disperses the mob. The Muslim man doesn't care about the Hindu caste since he is also treated as an untouchable. Baka goes to the temple and looks inside, which is forbidden to him. But before he is caught, Shohini appears crying. The priest who invited her to clean the temple is there, accusing her of polluting him with her touch. Shohini claimed that he sexually assaulted her while she was cleaning the lavatory. It was only when she rejected him that he began shouting that she had touched him. Baka tells her to go home and says he will take responsibility for gathering food. He spends the rest of the afternoon begging for food, all while being subjected to various uh, violences and cruelties from the upper caste Hindus. He is increasingly disgusted with the mistreatment he suffers, and when he gets home, he tells his father the story about the man who hit him. His father insists that the upper Hindus are good and kind and reminds Baka that when he was an infant, a Hindu doctor came to their home and saved Baka's life when he had a fever. Baka attends the wedding of the sister of one of his friends. After he tells two of his friends the story of the man hitting him, one of them proposes that they take revenge on the man. Baka considers it, but he understands that he will only get himself and his family in trouble if he move into that way. The untouchables have no recourse for justice. After collecting his hockey stick from Charat Singh, Baka joins a game of street hockey. During the game, a fight begins and the two teams throws rocks at each other. One of the rocks hits a little boy in the head. Baka picks him up and carries him to his mother, who recognizes him as a street sweeper. Even though he is crying to help, she screams that he has polluted her son. At home, Baka's father is furious that Baka has been away all afternoon. He kicks Baka out of the house. Baka now makes his way to a train station and where he hears a rumor that Mahatma Gandhi is coming there to give a speech. Baka stays until Gandhi arrives. Gandhi's speech condemns the caste system and urges the people to follow his example of non-violent protest. Baka is very excited by the speech but does not know enough to determine whether Gandhi's suggestions were truly effective. After the speech, Baka overhears two educated men, a poet and a lawyer, debating the merits of Gandhi's speech. The lawyer believes that Gandhi's aims are childish and irrational. Long-standing traditions are rarely overturned, and he believes that the caste system will endure despite protests for reform. The poet believes that the barbarism of the caste system will be eliminated, particularly in the light of the fact that the flushing toilet is rumored to be coming to their town. Once the people have flushing toilets, there will be no need for the untouchables to dispose of the town's refuse, which would require a rethinking of their role and duty to society. The author's experience as an Indian and the fact that Untouchable was written while the caste system was firmly in place give the novel an authenticity and accuracy that make it easy to empathize with Baka and his family. Untouchable is a unique opportunity for readers to experience the plight of the victims of the caste system. At the same time, the story identifies the complexities of Indian identity after the Great War as India emerges for post-colonialism to globalism. Next, we'll go through the short biography of Kumud Pambre, which comes under 3.2. Kumud Pambre is a is an Indian Dalit activist. She is the first Ambedkarite scholar of Sanskrit. Her autobiography, Anatspot, discusses the issue of exploitation of Dalit women. She is a founder member of the National Federation of Dalit Women. She was born in 1938 into a Marhar Dalit family in Maharashtra. Later, she became a Buddhist. She was witness to the historic Dhamma ceremony, conversion to Buddhism, on October 14, 1956, as her parents were part of Baba Saheb Ambedkar Dalit Buddhist movement. She studied Sanskrit at the time when untouchability was rife and Dalits faced barriers. She was amongst first Dalits to learn Sanskrit and became Sanskrit Pandita or Sanskrit scholar. She was the head of Department of Sanskrit from Government College, Amaravati, Maharashtra. Through her essay, The Story of My Sanskrit, Kumud Pavre highlights the hierarchies of power in the newly independent Indian society. She talks about the socio-political conditions that arise from the caste system and how these conditions affect her engagement with the Sanskrit language, which was largely considered an upper caste Brahmin language through various stages of her life. Powell starts her story by explaining the conflict of emotions that she experiences when people try to compliment her for her Sanskrit capabilities. By praising her for her knowledge, they consciously and unconsciously remind her of the caste she belongs to and of how she dared to learn a language that isn't hers. For a Dalit woman to learn and teach Sanskrit, she says, is a dreadful anomaly to a traditional mind. Pare shares an incident where she was first introduced to the language and how she felt, an intimate connection between her and the Vedic mantras. At a puja, Hindu ceremony, in a pandal, she as a young girl found herself to be completely absorbed by the mantras that are chanted by the priest. However, this curiosity for a new language only increased when she was denied listening to those sacred mantras and was told to leave the site. The outrages, this outrages her self-respect and instilled in her the curiosity for the language that was restricted to her. The restrictions that are imposed on her for seeking to learn a language that is essentially possessed by Brahmins and the disgust and hostility she experiences for being a Shudra woman all reflect a web of power relations that uphold the caste system in India. By choosing to learn and engage with this powerful Brahmical language, Pavre attempts to transgress the boundaries that she is not allowed to. Powell's essay also reflects how education has nothing to do with the prejudices that people have in their mind. That is to say, how it is difficult to let go of the prejudices even when a person is highly educated. For instance, the head of the department was not happy with Powell's learning of Sanskrit. She says he made this clear and took a malicious delight in doing so. He was educated but prejudiced. The irony is that his prejudices and traditional values were such that he couldn't practice what he taught. Pavre compares him to another orthodox teacher, Gokhale Guruji, who was not exposed to modernity and yet is not affected by Brahmical prejudice. So I'm going to talk about, or I'm going to lift one excerpt from this essay. Even these wretched outcasts are giving themselves airs these days by studying in colleges. This is how the Hindus from the high caste areas used to taunt her. But it is not only the people outside her community that she faces prejudices, injustices, and inequalities from. The people from her own community constantly remind her of her limitations as a Dalit girl. This discourages her quite a lot. This deep perpetuation of prejudice in people's minds shows how strong the institutions are that uphold the caste norms and practices in India. Even after 20 years of India's independence, upper caste people find it extremely hard to accept Dalit people talking and marking their own places. As Pavre says, what comes by birth but can't be cast off by dying it casts? The discourse of the caste system is so strong that it continues to seep into the minds of people. Pavre completed both her BA and MA in Sanskrit, became the first woman from a scheduled caste to pass with distinction in Sanskrit, and still remained jobless for 2 years. This reality projects the material consequences of the caste systems, the economical and political consequences that the caste system entails. Religion, mythology, language, and education are some of the examples of the power structures that have been erected to maintain the caste system in India. These power structures legitimize the practices and traditions of the caste system. Paure talks about the traditional books that have forbidden the study of Sanskrit by women and Shudras, and how, because of this dominant discourse on Sanskrit, she had to face various kinds of oppressions at various stages of her life. In our situation, we see that Sanskrit is monopolized by Brahmins and various power structures are put up to maintain this discourse. For example, untouchability. These structures naturalize these rigid social norms or practices. As Nivedita Menon puts it in her book, Seeing Like a Feminist, the ideology of caste system is based on assumption that certain groups of people are superior by birth and they are born with characteristics such as greater intelligence and special skills that justify their power in the society.